Hey guys, John here. Thanks for joining me today in this video. We're going to be looking at a warm-up routine or a prep session that uses only one implement, and that's a kettlebell. And this is going to be part of what we're using for our Training Tribe programming this week and month. So if you're interested in learning more about the Training Tribe, if you're not already a member, just check that out on thelifetimeathlete.com or go directly to the App Store or Google Play, where you can find the Lifetime Athlete app and get all the exclusive access to the Training Tribe content. So this is a flow series. We're going to just flow through a number of movements or exercises. We want to be movement smiths, so that's someone who owns every position and who has mastery of motion in every direction. So we're always trying to train some of that competency into our sessions throughout the year. This is organized to be done at about 10 to 20 repetitions per exercise, and you can take rest breaks as needed. And also, some critics might look at what we're doing and say, well, this isn't the optimal way to maximize hypertrophy, for example. That's not our objective right now. We're just using this as a way to get some motion into the body, get it warmed up, have a little fun in the process. So here we go. First exercise is going to use all fours or a quadruped position, quadruped that is, and you're going to do a lateral transfer. So I think that's going to work with me facing the camera, but if I need to move, I just might. So I'm going to get down in this type of position, and then I'll have that bell out to my side. So I'm going to reach under and across, get a good stretch in the thorax, bring it over, come back, and you're going to do this literally as far as you can go. And again, nice way to get started. So I've given you an example of that quadruped lateral transfer. Now the next thing we're going to do is one of my favorites actually. It is an oblique sit press. So you just assume an oblique sitting position with the legs kind of in a staggered stance or stride, and then you're going to grab your kettlebell and put it in a basic rack or catch position. In fact, I'll give you this view. So here's the beginning of the exercise. Now I'm propped on my backhand. You can be more forward or more backwards, depending on what's comfortable for you. And then you're going to do a press. It's a bit of an incline press, not so much an overhead press. And this exercise is actually very shoulder friendly. Even someone like me with a reconstructed shoulder, which includes a total joint replacement, can do this exercise very effectively, very comfortably. So that's your oblique sit press. And again, you can put your signature on any of these movements. Now for our next exercise, this one's kind of unique, kind of novel. I'm not sure I invented it, but I think you're going to like it. We're going to put ourselves in a sideline position, and then we're going to use what we're going to call an external rotating press. So I'm going to get sidelined, prop the foot over like so, find my kettlebell, and I'm actually going to take my leg out of the way for a second. You can see how I've got this. So I'm not going to hold it in a racked position back of the wrist. I'm actually holding it in front of the palm. And then I'm going to externally rotate, extend, and horizontally abduct the shoulder. So you can just call this a sideline press, and you can put your hand under your head for a bit of extra support or comfort if you like. Great way to put the rib cage in a sideline position, work on expansion. That couples well with this external rotation. In fact, if you're interested in a lot of the nuts and bolts of these exercises and have questions, by all means, as a member in the app, you can just ping me in member submissions for some one-on-one coaching. Now, our next exercise just kind of flows from position to position. We're going to do a Russian twist. The way I like to perform this exercise is to use a seated position, keep the feet down, knees bent. Then you're going to use the traditional or standard handle hold on your kettlebell, and you're going to rotate from side to side. Now you can rotate as far as you want. You can even touch the bell to the ground if you prefer, but that slightly reclining and rotating position will give you a nice core stimulus. From there, we'll give you a different view. We're going to use a similar position, leaning back a bit further, with a hybrid hold. So you're going to wrap the bell and the thumbs are around the handle, leaning back. This is a recline press. And again, all these exercises are done as warm-up maneuvers, 10 to 20 reps in a flow situation. You'll finish with that, and you're going to come up right into a standing position. And this exercise, I think I'll move this mat out of the way, is called the figure eight. And the figure eight is basically exactly as it sounds. We simply get a staggered stance, athletic stance, and then we start to transfer the bell in figure eight fashion. Count it as a rep every time you make the 8. You can reverse direction if you want, although that's not absolutely necessary. Stay low and work on being smooth with your transfers. You can tell this is working because I'm clearly getting warmed up. Okay, our next exercise is a power clean. So what you're going to do is you're going to stand with the bell between your feet and possibly a tiny bit forward of your toes. And you're going to wind your arm in that helical fashion into an internally rotated position so you grasp on the side of the bell like that. And then we're going to do our cleans. Now some of these exercises, as you can tell, are unilateral, so you do your 10 to 20 reps on one side and then your 10 to 20 on the other, this being one like that. Now we just pull up to a catch, and that's how we do it. Now, a couple things to say about this exercise. I'll give you a different view. I'm trying to switch sides of the body so I get a nice little workout in this warm-up. And that is, we want to really drive a vertical path. So this is a clean. It is not a swing. We're not arcing the bell. And then as it comes up, you want to quickly rotate the elbow under for a soft catch in here. You're doing it incorrectly if you're banging your wrist or your arm with the bell. So you want to always have a level of control and comfort as you perform this exercise. Now, we're going to break out the ramp, but if you don't have a ramp, you can always just use a board, 2x4 or such, underneath your heels, because we want to do a goblet squat, and it really works well to do it on a ramp or with the heels elevated at least. The hold I'm going to use for this is the true goblet hold, which is handle inverted, cupping the bell. That's a chalice or goblet style hold. The beauty of the heel elevation is it allows us to get relatively full depth, or ATG, in our squat and not overutilize the hinge in the process. I'm not too picky about that for warm-up, but you can see how this allows me to get into a very vertical squat position quite comfortably and easily. Now, if you're having a little bit of difficulty in performing that, you can use this as a counterbalance. Bring that weight out a bit. That will help you. If you need to do it, by all means do. And that's our ramp goblet squat. Next up, we're going to use a kickstand position, and we're going to do a kickstand RDL. I'm just going to use this ramp. It's fine. You can use any stool or box or bench that you have available. A lot of people, if they train in a home gym, they oftentimes have a heavy-duty cooler that they'll use. That's all good. It's all fine. The kickstand position is simply putting one foot back and then having most of the weight on the front foot. You also recognize that RDL, or Romanian deadlift, is a hinging exercise with a fairly stiff leg. So I'm going to say we're going to allow ourselves to flex the knee a bit if we need to, but we're really working on getting that loading into the posterior chain. Again, this is warm-up. If balance is anything of an issue for you, there's nothing wrong with holding on to something, using a cane stick pipe, or holding onto a machine or a wall. No problem at all. So we're going to do that kickstand RDL, both sides, of course. Then we're moving into a Bulgarian split squat, which is basically a rear foot elevated split stance squat. And we're going to use this time an ipsilateral hold. So in that last exercise, we held on the contralateral or opposite side. Now we're just going to hold on the same side. So come back up into your rack or catch position. You can kind of modify that how it feels best for you. Staggered stance. Weight distribution, it's going to give or take 60-40, 70-30, front to back, something like that. And then you're going to work on finding your comfortable squat depth. This exercise with the rear leg support is so comfortable for me. I can actually touch the back knee. What I'm doing as I'm coming down is I'm letting that pressure in my front foot get closer to the first metatarsal head, the ball of the foot right behind the big toe. That's the power propulsion point. And then as I drive up, that weight goes a bit more laterally. From here, we're moving into a swing. You're never quite training with a kettlebell unless you're doing some type of swing. We'll move the ramp. This gets controversial as well because some folks will look at a kind of a standard swing and say, oh, okay, that's how you're doing it. You know, you definitely want to drive from the hips, have that big hip thrust. That's very important. One of the things I like to coach most people on is be a little soft in the knees as you find knee extension. There are a number of influencers out there who recommend a hard slam or a lock back, or at least they demonstrate that if they're not even recommending it. There's no place in human biomechanics where a hard slamming, hyperextending knee is good. So just a little bit of advice for you there. Other people will do what is sometimes called the American swing. So they'll kind of hybridize, get more arms, change their angle a little bit, lift higher. Some people will, again, be critical of this and say, well, it's bad for your shoulder. It's not necessarily true if you have good mobility and good technique. So do whatever you want to do, but we're going to do now an alternating swing. So what you do is you find your rhythm, and then you just start switching hands at the top. You don't have to juggle or flip the kettlebell. That's not necessary and could lead to injury. Any of these exercises, even though we're doing them for warm-up, if you need more stimulus, just grab one of your heavier bells. As you notice, I demonstrated most of this with my light bell, and that was partly because I didn't want to get too out of breath as I was giving you these demonstrations. So that's our Kettlebell Flow Series warm-up for this week and month for the training tribe. It's just one of the many things we do, numbering in the hundreds and now even over 1,000 resources that we have in the app, the Lifetime Athlete app, and of course on the lifetimeathlete.com. Check those things out if you're interested in learning more about what we're doing, and thanks for joining me today.